Do you want to do more than follow orders? Think outside of the box and manifest your dreams? Then you've come to the right show. Welcome to the award-winning podcast, Holding Down the Fort by U.S. VetWealth. I'm your host, Jen Amos, a Gold Star daughter, veteran spouse, and entrepreneur. For Season 9, we continue our partnership with the Rosie Network to highlight motivational stories of personal growth, financial awareness, and autonomy in our military community. We're also excited to continue showcasing our partnership with Blue Water Advisors. Now, let's get started. Hey everyone, got a question for you. What's your favorite barbecue sauce? Well, Evangelina Blue-Williams with Mystic Blue, a retired military veteran turned barbecue sauce entrepreneur, joins us to share hers. Evangelina shares her passion for cooking, how a homemade barbecue sauce spawned a business, and the unique flavors she offers. Learn about the challenges and triumphs of Evangelina transitioning to civilian life, attending a culinary school, and participating in entrepreneurial programs such as the Rosie Network. Evangelina also talks about the importance of natural ingredients, family influences, and future goals of getting her products into grocery stores. Listen to her journey of culinary creativity, resilience, and the pursuit of entrepreneurial dreams, all deeply rooted in personal experiences and love for family traditions. Evangelina, thanks again so much for being on our show here at Holding Down the Fort by U.S. VetWealth. Special thanks to the Rosie Network for sending over your service to CEO graduates to be featured on the show. And with that said, I hope you enjoy listening. All right, Evangelina Blue, welcome to Holding Down the Fort by U.S. VetWealth.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. So just to give people a hint into what you do, I first want to open up by asking you an icebreaker question. What is your guilty pleasure food that you love that actually might surprise some people?
I would say, as far as snack-wise, I like those wheat thins. Not to be like just the plain salt ones. I can sit and eat a whole box without even second guessing it. Just sitting there, just eating. They're like little circle crackers, and I can go through a whole box in one sitting.
Oh my gosh, that reminds me of my mom used to have Sky Flakes, which is like plain crackers also, maybe like a hint of salt. But she would always feed it to me growing up whenever I would get sick. She's like, oh, eat some carbs. Like, I guess that was just like a method for her to help me get better with an upset stomach. But I remember even when I didn't have an upset stomach, same thing like you, I would eat those crackers like popcorn and not even realize it and get to like the bottom of it. And I was like, where did it go?
And it tastes a little like popcorn. It's made out of rice, but like it has, to me, it has like a little hint of like a popcorn flavor. Like I get just the salt, but yeah, I can sit and
yeah. Well, considering how that is a very plain snack, I'm sure people will be surprised if they don't know you already to know what you do and what you sell for a living.
No.
Yeah. So your business is Mystic Blue. Mm-hmm. And just real quickly, tell us, what is your company, Mystic Blue?
Well, Mystic Blue, I manufacture barbecue sauce. I now have 3 sauces. I have a sweet and spicy, honey mustard, and the newest one is simply savory. So with this new sauce with the simply savory, if you don't like the sweet or you don't like mustard spiciness, then the simply savory is just for you because it's not sweet, it's not spicy, and it's not mustard based. So it's like, don't like that, simply savory is the way to go.
Yeah. And I know that, you are a recent graduate of the Rosie Network Serve as a CEO program. However, you have been selling barbecue sauces for a long time. Is that correct?
I have.
That's amazing. And so what inspired you to offer a third sauce? I imagine the first 2 sauces were just amazing.
Yeah. So originally what made me start barbecue sauce from the beginning, I was just home cooking and I needed barbecue sauce. And I didn't have any. I didn't want to go to the store. So I'm like, let me go in the kitchen and just make me some sauce, just, for the moment. And I just made a little bit. I just made a little pot full for what I needed. And I was like, okay, it came out pretty good, you know? So I was like, okay, my family had an event and I told my sister, I'm like, hey, I make barbecue sauce, so don't worry about buying any. I'll just bring mine. And it was a big hit. People was loving the sauce. They was pouring it in cups and like taking it to take home. And it was like, well, what do you put? I'm like, well, I can't tell you my recipe. So it was like, well, my sister was like, well, you're not gonna give anybody the sauce or what's in it. You might as well just sell it. I'm like, I'll think about that. And like months down the road, I decided to try to recreate the sauce, see if I can do it again. I believe I sent out samples around just to get different people opinions about it. And then I ended up just bottling it. And the first sauce came out really good. And I was being asked about a second sauce. And I was like, I don't know. I'll think about it maybe.
I see a pattern here.
So I was like, all right, I made a second sauce. And after the second sauce and going through the process of everything, getting it, how you say it, like, because I also want to get it into stores. So I was like, it is so much to go through just because it's barbecue sauce. I was like, I'm not going to do a third sauce. But then I was like, okay, well, if I do want to get a sauce, then you have to be like 3 flavors or whatever. So I'm like, okay, I'll do a third sauce. And that's what led me to originally doing a third sauce.
Yeah. I imagine that the process of creating your first sauce was like having a first child and figuring out what it takes to raise a first child. And then now you have a third child, so to speak. And I imagine that going through that process of creating a third sauce was probably a lot easier, or like you at least knew a lot more to start a third sauce.
The third sauce was easier.
Mm-hmm.
The second sauce, apparently I hit it on the first try, but I was like, no, I got to treat it a little bit. It's like, no, there's nothing else you need to do. And I'm like, I'll think about it. But I'm like, it's the first batch, you know, it won't be right first batch. So I'm like, I tried a few times. But yeah, the third sauce was easier because I already knew like the flavor as far as what I wanted to achieve. And that's just what I focused on. I wanted it to be a little different, not, you know, same that you think that you can get on the shelves and stuff. So I didn't want it to taste like, oh, it tastes like this. I'm like, no, it tastes like Mystic Blue. Like not taste like another sauce because I am making it from scratch. And I didn't want it to be like, oh, it tastes like this other brand. And I'm like, no. So I did want it to have like a little different taste to it. So, and with me knowing that, that's kind of the direction that I went to when I was creating it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes me want to ask because I'm sure that there's you tell me, is there like what makes barbecue sauce versus, let's say, like ketchup or mayonnaise or any other kind of sauce that's out there? And obviously you don't have to give away your formula by any means, but is there like a basic expectation for it to be uniquely a barbecue sauce?
I don't think so. It's like, you know, the base of every sauce is either tomato base or mustard base or mayonnaise base. So I guess that's start off with that and you go from there. But it's the ingredients that you add to it that make it your own. So,
yeah. Okay. That makes sense. I was just very curious about like how that, what makes a barbecue sauce without asking for the secret ingredient to what you offer. I wanted to backtrack and talk about how you even got into barbecue sauces to begin with. I know that from my understanding, at an early age, you fell in love with cooking by watching your dad in the kitchen. Is that correct?
Yes. My dad was big on cooking. Like he did most of the cooking in the house growing up. And just watching him in the kitchen, and when especially like one of the things was like holidays at Christmas, he did like a really big dinner. That kind of, and I loved that until when I got older, I picked that up and I continued to host Christmas and do big dinners and stuff like that. So with me loving to cook and all that, I ended up going to culinary school. So while in the military, I still was doing culinary school on the side and expanded what I was doing. I was really excited. I loved it. Yeah, and I continued with it, which started my business, Mystic Blue. I wanted something with my name in it, so hence the name Mystic Blue. And yeah, I continued to cook from there. Last year, it was kind of rough because I did lose my dad.
Oh,
So
I'm so sorry.
when that happened, I did lose my love of cooking.
Mm.
Like I was still a cook, but it was how you say numb, just cook for it. And so
Mm-hmm.
I had to work my way back into the kitchen, like remembering how, my dad was like my top supporter and how he would love to see me because we would video chat and everything, but me showing him what I cooked, him showing me what he cooked. And just remembering that I kind of worked my way back into the kitchen. And then by doing so, that's when I actually came out with the third sauce.
Wow. So there's a lot more meaning to this third sauce than I originally thought.
Yeah, because it wasn't happening. I wasn't really, I was out of the kitchen for a minute. It was hard to actually go back and cook and actually enjoy cooking. So,
Yeah. I mean, if your association with cooking is with your love for your father, it makes a lot of sense to have gone on the journey you did. It reminds me of my own dad, where, he served in the military. And when we lost him, like years later, my mom would say, like, oh, why don't you join the military? And, she was always encouraging me to join. I never did. But I was all like, why would you ask me to join the military? Like, why? Like, where's the logic here, mom? I love my mom, by the way. But it's like, you're asking me to do something where we experience something incredibly traumatic. But, the good news is, fast forward to today, working with my husband and doing podcasting and interviewing our community has been a form of therapy. So this is kind of my way coming back to the community in the way that for you being able to create that third sauce and getting back into cooking.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
So in honor of your dad, I thought I would ask, what was your dad's favorite dish to cook?
oh,
Or dishes?
collard greens and ribs.
Ribs. You just said ribs. It's good.
Yes, it's funny because we would compete with the ribs, and
Mm-hmm.
he'll show me how you do his ribs, and I'm like, okay, that's fine, and I'll take it and I'll do it my way. I'm like, think I got you, but his main, you know what? No, his main thing was sweet potato pie.
Mm.
Everyone known him from his pies.
Mm-hmm.
And I started making his pies. And that's where we really started competing, right? Because I was like, I make my pies better than you. He's like, no, you don't. Like, you
Yeah.
don't. You better ask me. I'm like, I do it better. So that's one of the things. Like he cooked everything. He cooked
Mm-hmm.
everything. But like he definitely was known for his pies because people would come and buy his pies from him and be like, you got the blue pie, you got the pie. Every holiday he was making pies and just delivering pies to people.
That's awesome. Did he have any formal education to making pies, or it was just like
No,
a natural skill?
down from my grandmother.
That's amazing. I love that. Well, thank you for sharing that. It's very special. So let's go ahead and talk about your barbecue sauces. And I want to talk about like best practices with barbecue sauces because, like, for example, when I go to a barbecue joint, they'll usually it's served with like smoked meat and stuff like that. But they'll on the table, they'll have sauces just sitting there. And
Uh-huh.
so tell us a little bit of when people do buy barbecue sauces from you, from your website. As I saw, you can purchase straight from there.
Um,
How do you preserve your barbecue sauces? Like, is it okay to leave it out? Does it depend on the sauce? Like, what do you recommend for people once
it
they?
is okay to leave out. You can leave it out, or you can put it in the refrigerator. It works both. From what I was told, it lasts from the ladder. It can last up to like 18 months on the shelf.
Wow.
And one of the things with my sauce, I don't have any added preservatives in my
Hmm.
sauce, or I don't have high fructose corn syrup, and it's gluten free. So everything that's in is just natural ingredients. Nothing, no chemicals added to the sauce to prolong the shelf life or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, that's very reassuring to hear. And in regards to sitting your barbecue sauce out, really good to know because my husband has a tendency of just leaving out things in the kitchen all the time. And I kind of go back in there as I end the day
Yeah.
and put things away. And he loves barbecue sauce. So I'm always like putting it in the fridge. And I'm always thinking like, oh, it's going to go bad if he leaves it out. But great to know. I mean, I'm sure given the ingredients, it probably dictates how long you can sit it out as well. But good to know that good sauces, like the ones that you sell, can, sit out on the counter for, like you said, up to 18
Yeah,
months.
I have a bottle on the counter. I have a bottle in the fridge. It's same thing.
Yeah, yeah. I also like hearing, that you have like all natural ingredients. One of the common questions I found when I was looking up, just researching on barbecue sauces, was like the health benefits, or if there are even health benefits to barbecue sauces. And I think a lot of times it's kind of like that concern for high fructose corn syrup. So I think it's great that, your sauces are like all natural, no like GMO type preservatives.
Yeah.
And I'm curious if there are health benefits, if you ever looked into that for your sauces, are there any health benefits to it?
I don't know about health benefits because, like I said, the sweet and spicy is sweet. It
There
has
you
some
go. Yeah.
sweetness in it. Um, but yeah, my thing is like I've been like really health conscious lately,
Hmm.
and I added that as far as looking into the ingredients when I'm making my sauce. So I don't want the gluten. I don't want, and it's crazy because
Yeah.
when you start looking at labels, you start seeing like high fructose corn syrup as like the first or second ingredient in the food. I'm like, why is it so much like it's not really needed? Is that even needed in?
Hmm.
But like it's in a lot of stuff, and I
Yeah.
was like, I don't need that. Like I don't know why it's in there, but I don't want to have the fructose corn syrup or the added preservatives. Naturally, sugar is natural preservative with the other ingredients. So that's one of the things that I kind of focused on when lately once I started doing more of my sauces.
Yeah, it is pretty mind-blowing to know like what ingredients are commonly used. Like you said, with high fructose corn syrup,
Mhm.
I've heard before, and no one like take my word for it. They just look into it. But I read somewhere where high fructose corn syrup is just a lot easier to make and manufacture and produce, and therefore that's supposedly why it's easier to like have that as one of the ingredients in a lot of things. And so for people who may not be as health conscious, or they just value the convenience of food, that's just a blind spot for them, in general. Neither, it is what it is. And I think it's good that, from even for me personally, I have learned to, I like to eat local and eat seasonal, primarily
Mhm.
because I know what's in my food. I know what's in my food. I know who the farmers are. I can talk to them at the farmer's market if I have any questions. And there's just something very meaningful about shopping local and the benefits of like eating food where you know the ingredients to, or you could even like read the ingredients. I know that there's some like crazy preservatives where it has like the letter X in it, and I'm just like, what is
That
that?
you
Like,
can't even pronounce. Yeah.
yeah. And I've heard before, the rule of thumb is if you cannot pronounce the ingredients, it's probably not good for you.
Probably.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Thank you for answering that, because some of the questions I had about, the main questions I had is about like preserving and the ingredients, and just really great to hear that it's incredibly important for you to use all natural ingredients. Okay. So some tips for when people buy your barbecue, what should they, and depending on the sauce, or maybe the third, let's talk about the third sauce. When it comes to your third sauce, a new sauce you have out, what would you say it goes best with?
I would say ribs. Ribs are grilled meats. Is
Mm,
that and the sweet and spicy is good for ribs and grilled meats. And the sweet and spicy, I put on burgers sometimes.
love that.
Burgers. The honey mustard is really good on salmon.
Oh, okay.
Like you wouldn't think about it. Like I had to tell people, like when they ask me, I'm like, "What should we try?" The salmon, salmon. Like trust me, put it on the salmon. I grill my salmon. I base it with the honey mustard, and it's perfect.
Well, now my hope for you is that when people see salmon or eat salmon, they think of your honey mustard sauce. I feel like
It's
I'm gonna have to try
good.
that now.
I nearly had to put a video on my Instagram with the salmon and the honey mustard because I get asked like, "What else could I put the honey mustard on?" I'm like, "Have you tried it on salmon?" Like,
Yeah.
not
Yeah. I can totally imagine like a list of things to put your sauces on, and
correct.
I like you said, you do that on your Instagram. But for people that are like, I don't know what to do with these sauce, like even when I go to a barbecue joint, I will try all the sauces. Like I'll have like a little
Mhm.
platter just with the sauces, and I'll dip the same thing in it and see which one tastes the most or
Yeah,
tastes the best, which I
just
think is, yeah, a
yeah,
good
just
way to do it
experiment
as
which
well.
one tastes better, what for your taste, what the sauce tastes good on your food. I have a customer that puts it on everything, vegetables and all. Like he said,
Yeah.
he's like, I tried your sauce on this and this, and it was great. I'm like, okay, I would not have thought about that, but okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, speaking of your customers, can you share like your favorite story or testimonial of what people have had to say about your barbecue sauces?
Let me see. I have one customer who was saying that he had family in from, where did he say he was from? I forget where he said he was from, but they was visiting and he had my barbecue sauce and he was like, I had to hide my sauce because they stole my sauce. They took my sauce. He was like, I had just ordered it and they tried, I guess he cooked with it and they took the bottle.
Oh my goodness. That is
I was
funny.
like, sounds like you need to order some more.
Yeah. And you got to like hide it better. That's like whenever I have something that I bought, like let's say Swiss cheese that I know my husband likes, and I just try to hide it. And I mean, it's really hard to hide like
It
the
is.
cheese, but like you try. And then next day it goes missing. And I'm like, honey, did you have my Swiss cheese? And he's like, yeah, it was really good. And like he wasn't supposed to do that.
You got to
But,
put it in the
totally
back, like where he won't look at it. Like, because
Yeah.
like he's not going to dig in the refrigerator to look for anything. You got to be like front and center, like on the door, whatever. So you got to put it in the back where no one's going to look behind.
That is true. That is true. That actually reminds me, because like my husband's a little tall. He's taller than me. So I have to be like, okay, let me like figure out like his height and then like try to hide it. But anyway, I got to do a better job at that, or at least just tell him like, don't eat it. So at least like draw that boundary. This is mine. You can have your mozzarella cheese. I will have my Swiss cheese. Awesome. All right. Well, before we transition over to entrepreneurship, I am curious if there's any final thing you want to share with people about your sauces.
Oh, I didn't buy them.
Find them on Mystic Blue or mysticbluecatering.org.
Right.
There you go.
Again, I have not had a bad review where someone just genuinely did not like. So I'm confident that they will enjoy my sauce. From the sweet and spicy, the honey mustard, the simply savory. I'm pretty sure that they will find one that they will just absolutely love.
Love it. Love the confidence. Awesome. Well, speaking of confidence, it takes a lot of confidence to sell anything. And in this case, you're selling barbecue sauces. So I want to go ahead and switch gears here and talk about your entrepreneurial journey. So as I mentioned earlier, you are a recent graduate from the Rosie Network's Services CEO program. Congratulations. Tell us about that journey, because like this is not your first rodeo selling barbecue sauces. So how did you even get into the Services CEO to begin with?
Okay, so I retired from the military last year. And when I retired from the military, civilian side, retired, relocated, all of them. And since I retired, I get like programs that are offered to military veterans and stuff. One of them was the Wounded Warrior Project. And I was talking with the rep from there, and we just was talking about, my business, what we can do, just talking. And then he went to talk about, what he did. And he briefly mentioned Rosie Network. So me not knowing Rosie Network, while I'm talking, I'm Googling like what Rosie Network is.
Yeah.
And when I went on the website, looked at see what it was all about, I ended up signing up for it. And it's a 12-week course for veterans and veteran spouses. And the course itself was good. It's a lot of work. So it's not like you just, you're pretty much in a class in school. And it's for 12 weeks where they pretty much show you, go through everything that you could possibly need to know for your entrepreneurship, from setting your business up to pretty much every step. Like for me, some of the steps I had already done, but the speakers that come on every week that talk to you, that tell you like things that you should be doing or things that you may not know that you should be doing, all of them was very helpful. All of them were very helpful. I was able to take what I learned and apply it to my business. It was a really good experience, and I do highly recommend veterans to look into doing it as well.
Yeah, I mean, 12 weeks is no joke. I recently hopped into a graduation, and I was talking to my friend after the fact, and I said, I think there was like 6 or 7 people at the graduation, and I asked her how many people started, and apparently there is a high turnover rate. Like people drop out within the first couple of weeks. I think realizing that there's a lot more responsibility to it than they realize.
hmm Because, it's not just, especially if you already have a business that you're working or whatever, it's not just, hey, I have a business. This is what it is. It's actually work that you have to put into the course that you have to complete. And
Yeah.
there's certain requirements that you have to meet before you even get to graduation. So
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
definitely have to put some work into it. It's not just
Yeah.
to just sit there and just wait for graduation to come.
And that I definitely appreciate that a lot about the Rosie Network is, they're there to make sure that you come out of it with something tangible. I think the pitch deck is incredible because you cannot walk away without having a clear message on your mission and, your
Oh,
product, your brand, your slogan, all the things, and also like have that possibly available for potential investors.
I think that the pitch deck alone was like
Mm.
the best part of the program because the way, at least for me, the way that I started my pitch deck from day one of the class, completely different, way better by graduation. And like you really work on your pitch deck. Like every week, every class, every presenter that comes on, the first thing they want to go to pitch deck and
Mhm.
then they tell you, whether, hey, this is too long, you need to cut this out, you need to add this or whatever. I mean, that part alone was really good. Like they really, really helped you with the pitch deck.
Yeah, yeah. That's wonderful to hear. One of the last programs I had been a part of, not related to the Rosie Network at all, it was pretty much just a collection of webinars and it felt very entrepreneur 101. And it
Mhm.
was just saying like, hey, here's the A, B, and C's of entrepreneurship. Have fun, and so that's what often when I, the guests who've been on the show, it's just so meaningful to hear your stories because you've graduated the Service CEO program, and I hear the journey, I hear the grit, and I have confidence that there's a high percentage of you that will continue, to be in business because of the foundation that the Rosie Network has laid for you.
Mhm. Very much so. They were really helpful, really, really, really helpful. And I'm glad that I did do the course and was able to complete it.
Yeah, especially the completing part.
Yeah.
So, Evangelina, you mentioned that you recently retired. So, congratulations. 21 years is a really long time, by the way. So,
Thank you.
congrats to you. And since it's very fresh, I'm curious, what are the differences and similarities to having served to now being an entrepreneur? Let's go ahead and start with like the differences of like shifting. I don't know if you feel like you have to like shift your mindset. Like, tell us about that experience.
It's definitely took some getting used to being out of the service,
Hmm.
especially when you're used to the uniform and going in and this and that. That took a little minute because even when I got out, maybe a month after, people were like, "Hey, how's retirement?" I'm like, "Oh, I don't know."
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. It's still fresh. It's still like it's still there. But now I would say, I mean, I still missed it. It was when I got out. It was a how do you say it? It was like a love hate, not love, but
Like bittersweet, maybe?
yeah, like a bittersweet. Like I was
Hmm.
happy I was out, but at the same time, I was kind of sad. Like kind of miss it.
Yeah.
Like I miss it, but at the same time, I'm glad I'm out. But yeah, even today, still look bittersweet.
Oh, I bet. And I bet that you'll probably feel that way for many, many years to come, I'm sure. I mean, that was a huge part of your life, right? That's like half of your life, basically.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. And
very
so,
much.
I mean, so I guess it's kind of hard to say, like, how's it like being a civilian now? Because like you said, in a way, you're like, well, I just got out. It's hard to process it. Like maybe you haven't found the words yet to explain, I guess, that experience.
Uh, Traveling, way different experience.
Ooh.
I'm used to just packing my bags, going to the airport, not weighing my bags, going through the lines. They're like, oh wait, I'm civilian now. I don't have
Yeah. You're one of us now. Unless you do the pre-check, like you pay in advance for those pre-check
right.
things. Yeah,
And
you're pretty
I
much in
think
line with everyone else.
the first trip that I took after retiring, after going through security and everything, and finding my gate and sitting down, I was like, I don't like this.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm
Yeah.
like, this what you guys gotta do?
Yeah.
I'm
As a
like, I'm
civilian, I understand what you're saying. It's
like,
part of my lease. It's definitely why I feel like I personally don't have a travel bug. I mean, I'm sure part of it was because I was a military kid and moved around a couple of times, but also
mhm.
just the hassle of going through bag check and taking off your shoes.
Taking off my shoes
Yeah.
and
Yeah. And they're like, oh, those earrings, metal, are you wearing a belt? Like all the things. Like I understand. I feel your pain.
Very much so. But I mean, it's usually feeling and go to it. It's not that. But it's just, I mean, those was kind of the perks that you had being in service versus being retired.
Yeah. Well, I imagine that there are some perks now to being a veteran.
Yes, very much.
Yes.
There's so many programs out there for veterans,
Mm-hmm.
like the Rosie Network, that I did not know when I was in the service. I didn't know. I'm like, okay, so like newsletters coming in. Did you hear about this? Did you hear about that? Do you know this? And then like, I did not know about a lot of these programs, but I am happy that I found them out now that I am retired and have the time to put in my business that way.
Yeah. Yeah. I imagine that must have been comforting for your transition.
Yeah, very much so. Just even, I mean, it's so many programs for veterans. It's just not a lot of them are advertised. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like if you know, kind of spread the word. But it's not like you're retired. Here's all the programs that you. That would
Yeah.
be good,
Yeah.
but no, you actually have to like hear it from someone else, somewhere else, somewhere else. But yeah, they're still. I mean, still retired, so I still have veteran benefits and everything. But I'm still learning new programs to this day that are out there.
Yeah. Well, that's wonderful. And that's very comforting to hear because I often, like in the past years of interviewing veterans, there's often that, period of limbo and I would dare say depression of that transitional moment and feeling like that support you had throughout your military service was just, pulled out from under you. And so to hear,
Mhm.
at least in your case, so far, it sounds like you've had a positive, if not just supportive, encouraging experience in your civilian life.
I mean, there was a moment that there definitely was a moment when
Mhm.
it all settled and I was out and it was like kind of a down moment and that it's like I'm retired. What now?
Mhm.
Like there was more okay,
Yeah.
like what now? What am I gonna do now? Like I'm retired or relocated, I'm in a new area. What now? So I kind
Yeah.
of had to find my way. I'm like, okay, this is the perfect time to go on in with your business. It
Mm.
was set aside before because of military and everything that I had going on, but now it's like, okay, this is what you're gonna do next. This is what I'm gonna do now that I have all this time. Because my one of my big things when I retired was having the time with my kids,
Mm.
rather
Mhm.
still young and want me around.
Well,
Because
they still want you around. I love that you said that.
it's like, I'm not traveling here, I'm not traveling there. I'm not like, okay, I won't be here this weekend or whatever. But actually, when you wake up and when you go to sleep, I'm here. And that was big.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, that's very meaningful. And I love that you decided to dive into Mystic Blue. So let's talk about the future of your company. Where do you see yourself going?
Hopefully in grocery stores. That is where I am looking now. I want to be in grocery stores everywhere. So when you walk
Mhm.
into a grocery store, you go down the condiments aisle, you look on the shelf, Mystic Blue.
I love that. Well, I'm just in admiration of your journey and your story, and I really do appreciate you taking the time to speak with us today. Well, Evangelina Blue, it's been such a pleasure having you on our show. Again, to our listeners, we already hinted at the website, and I'll repeat this again in my outro, by the way, but you can go ahead and order her sauces today at mysticbluecatering.org. Evangelina, one more piece of advice that you'd like to part with to any other veteran out there who, just got out and is considering entrepreneurship, what would you like to say to them?
Definitely look into all the programs that are offered to veterans. There are so many out there. You just have to get out there and you can pretty much Google what you need, what programs are out there. Even on the va.gov website, you can search those places also. There's even programs for if you want to go back to school. So definitely if you're you thinking about doing business and you want to, you know, get a little help or whatever stage you are in, there are definitely even programs as far as licensing, depending on your business type. So definitely use the programs that are out there because they are highly beneficial.
Wonderful. Well, again, it was a pleasure having you, Evangelina. Thank you so much for being on our show.
Thank you. I had fun.
Wonderful. Hey there. This is your host, Jen Amos. Thanks again for listening to today's episode of Holding Down the Fort by US VetWealth. Visit holdingdownthefortpodcast.com to access the full show notes of this episode, including resources mentioned and bonus content. Once again, the website is holdingdownthefortpodcast.com. Lastly, stay after the outro for a little something extra. Thanks again, and chat soon. Bye for now. Hey everyone, welcome to the outro. I need to have an official title for this, post commentary. Anyway, I don't have much major updates to share. I'm just filling this in to fill it in. Of course, as you know, or if you don't know by now, Holding Down the Fort has a private podcast show called Inside the Fort. And this is where I am a bit more unfiltered about my journey as a podcaster, as an entrepreneur. And I give unfiltered post commentary about the show itself and my journey in producing the show. So if you're interested in that, or you're interested in, just diving in deeper with Holding Down the Fort and all the things we have to offer, highly encourage you to check out our free private podcast, which is available at holdingdownthefortpodcast.com/portal. So that's holdingdownthefortpodcast.com/portal. I am, at the time of this recording, I am entertaining another domain name, insidethefort.com. Feel free to try that out also. It's still tinkering with that one. I think that one loads a little bit more slowly, but if that works, wonderful. All right, thanks so much for listening, and we will chat with you all next week. Bye for now.